Would like to lead off today's video by wishing all of the moms in my audience a very happy Mother's Day. It doesn't take a whole lot to conceive a child, but it takes a very special woman to be a mother. You definitely deserve a day all to yourself. I hope you're spending it with family and friends and loved ones and relaxing. You definitely deserve this. Enjoy. Would also like to say a big thank you to those of you who have joined us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Today's video here on YouTube is going to dovetail directly with what we talk about over at Patreon. Generally speaking, we talk about psychological operations, the weakness of the mind, and how to fortify the mind, the 24 cognitive biases, the 24 logical fallacies. One very specific one is being used and everyone is missing it. There's an incredible story out of Alabama about some images that have been captured in some secret caves. And the scientists that are doing the studying are falling victim to something called confirmation bias. What is that? It's the tendency of people to favor information that confirms their beliefs or hypotheses. People display this bias when they gather or remember information selectively, or when they interpret it in a biased way. The effect is stronger for emotionally charged issues and for deeply entrenched beliefs. People also tend to interpret ambiguous evidence as supporting their existing position. Now, the main story. There are some secret caves in northern Alabama where on the ceiling they have noticed these images that were scratched into the rock. Now, these images are just faint scratches. They have overlaid the black and white ink here to show you what they were looking at. But confirmation bias is telling them that they are looking at Native Americans. You know, head, body, arms, all this kind of stuff. They don't understand the images because the images are so large. And once again, they're scrawled not on the walls of the cave, but on the ceiling. I have a theory about this, and I've looked for evidence to support it, and I believe I have evidence, true evidence, to back up my theory. What is that evidence? Okay, let's go with this image right here. This is what they have outlined, and over here to the left is what they've looked at. It's very difficult to see. You're probably going to have to stop and zoom in on your phone or computer. They have filled in areas that confirm their theory, their hypothesis, that this is some type of an image of a Native American. They have the head, an arm, down here, the legs, all this. But there's an area right here where there's clearly been something scratched out. Well, they don't fill it in over here. Why? Because it doesn't go with their theory. Now, are you ready to have your mind blown? They're looking at the image in the wrong perspective. This isn't an individual standing. It's a landscape. Now remember, this is on the ceiling, not on a wall. What this is, it shows either the sun or an explosion over a bay where two rivers meet. This is the big bay, the larger river, whatever you want to call it. Here's river 1. Here's river number 2. This is the sun, I believe, either rising or setting. I think it's setting, actually, over this. Now, the river or bay gets larger, but then when you get to the end here, you see a diamond-shaped, what looks like island. Then the water goes off to the right and makes a left-hand turn, and it also goes to the left. Now remember, this image was captured in a cave in northern Alabama. Now, here's the mind-blowing part. This is Mobile Bay in southern Alabama, with the sun setting over it. Don't think so? Let me show you this. You're going to absolutely go crazy when you see this on Google Earth. I don't know how the scientists missed it. It's Mobile Bay. Now, the actual location of the cave has been kept secret. It's on private property because they don't want looters and vandals to show up. This is Mobile Bay. Now, we're going to turn perspective here. And we're going to adjust the angle of the camera. And it shows two rivers that converge. You have the Tombigbee River, I believe here, and you have the Alabama River. I'm sorry, the Tombigbee one is on the west side. The Alabama is here, Alabama River. The two rivers converge, and they lead out into a large bay. Remember that triangular island? Right here. Remember the river bends off to the right and then again to the left. The intercoastal to the right and then to the left. It's a map. It's a map that shows the confluence of the Alabama River and the Tombigbee River where it meets Mobile Bay, and it shows the intercoastal. Let's bring the image back up. It also shows almost three rivers, really. And when you look at that region, that river splits and comes back together again over and over again. And I believe that's what they miss up here, that they don't fill in. Two rivers, they come to a confluence. Here's the sun. Here's that island. Here's the intercoastal. And it shows where this goes out, and it shows many rivers, or what looks like the Delta of New Orleans, basically. They think what they're looking at is an Indian standing up or a giant. If you turn it 90 degrees, it makes perfect sense. Let me tilt this camera down a little bit more to show this. Now, I know there's some people out there already typing. Hey, Florida Maquis, Galindus Island, I believe that's what this is called. Galliard, pardon me. Gaillard Island was created by the Army Corps of Engineers. You see, that to me is confirmation that what was being scrawled on that ceiling was a vision. You see, that would have taken an incredible amount of effort. It's not just a map. It's a vision of the future, which makes me wonder if this isn't the sun, but perhaps a large explosion. That maybe somebody saw something and it moved them so much that they had to scrawl this into the rock of the ceiling of a cave to remember it. That it was very important that people knew this and understood this. How many of you have ever had one of those dreams that just stuck with you and you had it over and over and over again? And you had to write it down, and you'd wake up and you'd forget details of it, and you'd maybe capture a few of them and then you'd have it again. I know a lot of you have had this experience. There's another image I wanted to show. This is a panoramascape of the ceiling of this cave. And they have an image here that they liken to be a serpent. That particular image that I'm showing was found, I believe it is one of these images here. I believe it's this one. And they've shown these all over the ceiling. Now, there's areas where it looks like there's definitely been carving done, but they don't highlight them. And that's where I believe the confirmation bias comes in. Once again, let me show this. There's two rivers that meet up and become one. The Alabama and the Tombigbee. and they diverge out and come back in into other veins and arteries, but they all end up in Mobile Bay. And in Mobile Bay, there is an island that is triangular shaped. When it reaches the ocean, one fork goes to the west and ends up at New Orleans. And the other one goes to the east. Let's look at the image again. Multiple rivers, 2, possibly 3 rivers. This could be even a 4th one up here. Meet in one large bay. A triangular island. One fork that goes west and then turns and becomes many. And then one smaller one that goes to the other direction. And something happening right here. Whether this is a sunset or whether this is an explosion, some type of a vision of the future perhaps. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not an Indian or a Native American, because if you believe there's a hand here, why would there be no hand over here? Why would they cut off the hand? Why wouldn't they put another hand here? Why does this, if it's a leg, why does it have 2 branches down here? And why does this one only have 1? And what's going on here? See, I think they're looking at this in the wrong perspective. This is another one that I think was probably a precursor image that wasn't completely accurate. You know how like you write something down from a dream and you just get a general vague idea, and then you have the dream again, you get more detail and more detail. I believe this was a precursor image to the other one. And this might have been the very first one, where there was just chaos and mayhem and perhaps an impact. Looks like perhaps something coming from the sky. All of these rivers all jumbled up, kind of like what we saw, really. Because this area here just to the north of Mobile Bay, when you look at it, it's basically a rat's nest of little streams and rivers and creeks and tributaries. I truly believe this is that latter image. And once again, this is in Alabama. The place they found this image was up here somewhere in northern Alabama, not very far away. There's just too many things that correlate for me to this being a map. Somebody's dream, somebody's vision of something in the future. So, I just wanted to leave it there. Just my opinion. Just have a theory, find some evidence to support it. And I think I have quite a bit of evidence when you look at that map that way, where it is, and why they would have scrawled it on the ceiling so that everybody could see it or remember it. Psychological Operations 101. Join us, $1 US per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. God bless. Happy Mother's Day. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.